No young person must be deemed to have the right to destroy this country.
The Prime Minister takes a strong stand on murders and how they affect our #1 industry.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, it's the first day of school here at BAMSI. We've got all the details, so stay tuned.
Plus, find out why they were in court. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The nation's leader not mincing words on the country's crime problem. Good evening, I'm Opal Rhodes.
And I'm Candino Knowles. Well, underscoring the need for a solution to minimize what he called this level of craziness, Prime Minister Christie said crime could destroy the country's economic fabric. Siaska Adderley has the details.
Following a shooting just off Bernard Road on Saturday night that left one man dead and 3 others nursing wounds in hospital, Prime Minister Perry Christie reaffirmed the government's commitment to significantly reducing crime levels. He urged residents not to allow a select few to wreak havoc on the country.
No young person must be deemed to have the right to destroy this country. None. And parents who know and condone it must be condemned themselves. They cannot allow this to happen. Because the young person who does the killing, he is as much a victim as the person he kills.
That is why the Prime Minister's government is always looking at new ways to correct this problem. He says if it isn't, Bahamians' livelihoods will be at stake.
We have to, as a country, find the answer to this. Otherwise, we are going to continue to have our economy and our way of life negatively impacted by countries putting out advisories for tourists to be concerned about their safety. And 70% of the people of this country earn their living directly or indirectly from the tourist industry.
His comments came after Canada issued an advisory to its citizens to exercise a degree of caution, especially when traveling to Nassau due to high rates of crime.
Clearly, in our communities, there is a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of bewilderment, a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, all of it mounting and heading these young people in the wrong direction. And we have to address it.
A compendium of crime bills was passed in the House of Assembly and is now being debated in the Senate, all aimed at combating crime. Siaska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
A historic day for the country as classes at the Bahamas Agricultural and Marine Science Institute officially started today. While classes aren't being held at BAMSI site just yet, Minister responsible for the school, V. Alfred Gray, described the occasion as a red-letter day for the Bahamas, while students were even more enthusiastic about the new opportunity. Janae Noel Ferguson traveled to Andros this morning for the first day of classes.
These new BAMSI students have both had experience in agriculture but had no options to expand their interest.
We did a distinction in that subject, but we didn't have anything in 2000 as we have now with BAMSI.
This grows tilapia. I grew it for 3 years, so I have a little experience on growing tilapia.
With the start of the Institute, both students can now achieve their academic goals. They're a part of the first group of 45 students embracing the new opportunities that the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute will provide.
It's not disgraceful now to be an agriculturist. It's not only about the doctors and lawyers, they need to eat too.
We're growing what we eat, and that is a big part of the learning process for them.
Though classes did not begin at the BAMSI site, which is still under construction, Dr. Rovina Roberts-Hanna, Executive Director of BAMSI, says no shortcuts will be taken for classes to continue. She also addressed concerns raised by UTAP, who called for a memorandum of understanding to be formalized between COB and BAMSI.
It's just a matter of signing it, which will be done either today or this week. Relationship with COB in terms of the classes, the lectures, as well as the vetting of the classes. We need to destroy this box and thinking that learning has to be within four corners, four physical structure. We have a greenhouse already up and running. We have a farm that's about to actually produce fruit. So that's their farm. That is their classroom space.
Now, Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister V. Alfred Gray added that legislation must also be implemented to ensure the sustainability of the program. He, along with other officials, toured the temporary living conditions at 2 resort properties in North Andros, where students are being housed and fed. It will cost about $120,000 over the 4 months to house these students.
That's a small price to pay for education. That site will not be opened until the roads to it and from it are as paved as what you see around us right now.
But accommodations are not an issue for new students Sherry Fountain and Shonell Adderley. They're both ready to take agriculture to a new frontier.
Well, you would know if you go to Stapleton School for the Mentally Retarded. Agriculture is a program in which they have in there, and they for persons with disability, and I'm willing to be a part of this.
I wanted to learn more about agriculture because I love planting like crops and livestock.
Can't afford for a government change to mean the destruction of the school. We just can't afford to do that.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
From the courts tonight, a jury has convicted 29-year-old Nevin Curry in the murder of Stanley McIntosh. McIntosh's body was discovered in an area on Don McKay Boulevard in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, 2 years ago. After 2 hours of deliberation, jurors returned a guilty verdict shortly after 4 today. Curry is expected to be sentenced in December. This is the second time Curry was tried for the crime. The court ordered a retrial in January following a hung jury. And 28-year-old Joseph Hepburn, 31-year-old Antonio King, and 30-year-old Crispin Baston have been remanded to prison on drug charges. The 3 were arrested last week after police say they were found with marijuana with the intent to supply. They pleaded not guilty to drug possession and related charges, and bail was denied. Hepburn is facing a separate charge of possession with intent to supply. Again, he pleaded not guilty. Meantime, the 3 returned to court on January 29th for a bail hearing.
Well, having passed the gaming bill last week, senators today turned their attention to the compendium of crime bills. The bills include the Abolition of Minimum Sentences Bill 2014, the Bail Act 2014, the Coroners Act 2014, and the Jury's Amendment Bill 2014. Carla Palmer reports that together these bills are intended to significantly impact the judicial system.
Government leader in the Senate, the Honorable Allison Maynard Gibson, led debate on the compendium of crime bills. She says efficiency in the administration of justice is the overall intention by the government in amending the bills. Senator Gibson says the government will do whatever is necessary to ensure this is realized. She highlighted steps already by the government to advance the system since taking office.
We immediately re-implemented Swift Justice. This brings together on a weekly basis the stakeholders in the administration of justice, and with the cooperation of the judiciary, in concurrently, rather than consecutively, one after the other, closing off inefficiencies, or what I would call escape routes, is also what we have done. The first was eliminating conflicts in calendaring. The second was addressing the problems in on-time delivery of transcripts. The third is addressing the difficulties in the empanelment of juries, and we'll be doing more of that here today. And the fourth is addressing the difficulties in addressing the issues relating to unrepresented persons.
Senator Keith Bell seconded the crime bills in full support. He says the government is doing its part as the legislature in attempting to put teeth into the law.
Since coming to office, the government has undertaken one of the most comprehensive overviews of our criminal justice system ever undertaken. The compendium of bills being presented today is in furtherance of our comprehensive review and its objective.
Opposition Senator Kwesi Thompson says his team has no opposition to the bills as long as it moves the system forward.
One has to weigh the problems which we face as a nation, but ensure that we do not breach the rights of the individual, which lawyers are sworn to protect. There is no better example than the question of bail. No matter the crime, no matter the person who is charged, there are fundamental rights each individual has.
The debate continues. I'm Carla Palmer for ZNS Network News.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Lux Men's Warehouse.